Creepers left and right, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and things can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, don't make a sound, the clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around, 2,000 little fires. And ooh, your circle is spreading.
Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Hello Cosmo. Hello Cosmo. Do you want to come see the people? He doesn't know that you're people. He doesn't know that you're people. Do you want to come see the people? You want to come see... Wait, come here. Come here. Come on. Okay, yeah. Say hello people. This is my such a good boy, huh? Can you guys believe he's 5? When I started this channel, he was 1. And now he's 5, and look how big. Look how big. Oh, goodness, thank you. Right in the mouth. I wasn't really wanting that. Yeah, thank you. Oh, I love you. I do. Okay, hello. Welcome to the vlog. Let me clean these slobber off now. Okay, welcome back. Happy Monday. It's the beginning of a new vlog. And, I just wanted to say hello and catch you up on what I decided to read today. So, because we're already a week into July and I need to get the book club reads done, both the ones that Jen and I are doing for the Rake Appreciation Society summer session, and I put my hair in a ponytail and my hair goes back, and then this like doesn't want to cover my forehead like I want it to. And then my book club that I'm doing on Fable, it's an app. You can't eat the bookmark, you silly. Is for, again, the Magic, which is a reread for me. I'm very happy to be rereading this. Here is the beautiful step back. It's just so freaking pretty, right? So, I just started this today. I am listening to the audio. I've never listened to the audio of this before. The last time that I read it physically. And I only have read this book once. And the first time that I read this was in 2020. And I immediately loved it. So I have been a little nervous to come back to it. Not that I didn't think I wouldn't like it, but just because this book hit me so powerfully when I first read it. Oh my gosh, is somebody calling me? And I feel like sometimes when you have that type of a reaction to a book, it can feel a little, or at least for me, like I sometimes feel a little wary about going back to it because I'm like, what if I don't like it as much? Like, what if I don't like it as much? What if it doesn't hit me the same? And maybe that just means I need to adjust my expectations, because is it ever going to hit the same as it does if you have a really powerful experience, you know? So this book, if you don't know, it's a very classic historical romance, one of her most popular, I feel like. It's the prequel to the Wallflower series. So this is Lady Aline, and she is not even of age to have her first season yet, so she's quite young in this book. And she falls in love with a servant boy who is also quite young, McKenna. And they come from completely different worlds, you know, like he is not of any noble birth. He's literally working as a servant. He was orphaned, and he's, you know, another woman who works there took him in and raised him. So he's very much aware that he is not on equal footing with Aline, even though at the same time he is so drawn to her, and they profess their love for each other right away, and they have this very like passionate and romantic few chapters, first 2 chapters, and then tragically they get torn apart. And McKenna believes it to be that Aline has spurned him, basically, that she kind of used him, that she wasn't being true about her feelings, and so he is kind of feeling scorned. He goes to America to earn his fortune, and then he comes back to England. So all of that is on the back cover of the book, so I don't feel like I've given you any spoilers. So the first chapter of this, I don't remember. I remember big moments of this book, and I remember how it made me feel, obviously, but I don't remember a lot else. I was looking at my Goodreads review last night, and I was talking about how this wasn't the first Lisa Kleypas book that I read, but this was the first book that I loved. Like, I remember my Goodreads review was talking about how impressed I was with her writing. Like, she is such a beautiful writer. And I do think her prose kind of leans into that very romantic, historical feel in this, where it gives you, just the way that she puts her prose together, gives you a feeling of a historical Regency type of setting. It feels, but at the same time, it's very approachable. It's not something that, you know, like a lot of, I feel like people think classics like Jane Austen, they feel there's a bit of a barrier with how it's written in the prose. And while this does have that not that type of feel, it does have a feel of, I would say, like, civility, you know, of historical Regency. It doesn't feel contemporary at all. And it's especially jarring, I think, reading this on the heels of Wicked and the Wallflower, which is, I mean, I don't remember if I read that or the Mary Bellog, but both of, you know, Mary Bellog is also a very classical writer. She writes with that same type of level of, like, civility and beauty and almost a little tiny bit of, like, grandeur, which I think is really enjoyable. But the second chapter, I think, is just so deeply emotional. I feel like that chapter just is so emotional. It goes to so many levels. And from the beginning of that, when we see them meeting up and we see that they have feelings for each other, and we also see Aline acting a little bit immature, you know? She's not really thinking about the consequences of her actions, while at the same time being very aware of what her future holds. That she's going to be forced into this marriage that her parents arranged for her. It's probably not going to be a love match. She doesn't know. You know, she talks in here specifically about not even being able to raise her own children, that they'll probably be like a nurse or a nanny who would be raising them. And so she's looking at her future through a very, like, dark colored lens, which I think is very interesting because she's clearly so privileged, but none of her choices are her own for her future. She doesn't get to do what she wants to do, and she doesn't get to be who she wants to be with, and she so badly wants to be with McKenna. And his feelings for her are very tender and very sweet and also very passionate. And there's this moment where, you know, she's talking about, well, why don't you save up your money? You can get your own cottage and work your own land. And he's like, well, what would I do that for? And there's this little talk between the two of them about, well, you know, so you could support a wife. And he obviously takes that to mean her. And they have just a few lines talking about, well, wife, you would have to do this. And it was just the way that they had that shared moment, that shared dream of what a future they could have if they were allowed to, is just so beautiful. So I think that second chapter has so many emotions in it, and I love it. I love these two, even though I do feel like Aline is a little immature, and some of the decisions she tries to push McKenna into things that he is being very noble and doesn't want to do because he knows how it's going to affect her future. And then you get to the very end of the chapter when we find out that they're going to have to be torn apart, and Aline is going to have to make McKenna believe that she doesn't love him because she knows that's the only way that he's going to leave her. And it's just so heartbreaking and beautiful, and I love it so much. I just love it so much. I love Lisa Kleypas. I do. I haven't read one of her books in a really long time. I think it was, I know it's for sure been a year, and I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. I'm just so freaking happy. So I talk too much. I don't know if you guys like when I ramble, because I feel like lately, maybe it's because I didn't vlog for so long. Truthfully, the last time I did Vlogmas fully, where I vlogged every single day in December, was 2022, and I don't feel like I ever recovered from how draining that was. You know, that was a lot. That was a lot. I did recover, but it took me over a year because it's only been in the last little while that I've even wanted to vlog, and I'm enjoying it. So I hope y'all are enjoying these vlogs. I've gotten some really wonderful feedback from you. I love all of your comments. I read every single one. I'm trying to do a better job of responding. I haven't historically done a great job there. But anyway, sorry, enough rambling. I'm gonna go keep reading and I will come back. I'm not sure what I'm gonna read, what else I'm gonna read in this, because I kind of am still in a contemporary romance mood, but at the same time, it may be fun. Hey, don't chew on my shorts. I put dog treats in my shorts so that he would bring the ball back when I play fetch with him, because he needs some exercise. He's a big, strong boy, huh? And I left apparently a treat in my pocket and he was nibbling it. Okay, I'm so sorry for all the rambling. I'll be back when I have more to say. I'll try to keep this vlog short. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. Maybe historical, probably. We'll see. See you soon. Hello, my friends. Let's do a vlog update, shall we? Okay, so again, the magic reread for me. I am this far into it. I'm on chapter 13, just about to start chapter 13. So that looks 2/3 of the way through, maybe. So I feel like I'm having a hard time putting this book down. Like, I just even though today is Wednesday, I still feel like I'm kind of powering through is not the right word. Like, I'm just burning through this book. There's something about a Lisa Kleypas book that is unlike any other book that I've ever read before. The way that she so deftly draws you along in this story and how she not just draws you along in the story. Like, there's not really anything happening, like, plot-wise. There are some moments that are happening. There are some moments that are, like, putting our main characters in situations where they have to be together or where they learn something about each other. And I think that's made so much more obvious by the fact that they've been separated for so many years. And the way that McKenna left so angry and Aline was here, you know, kind of the way that she's sort of absorbed all of that guilt, knowing that she said some of the most horrible things that was going to force him to leave her so that he wouldn't be ruined. And it's just, I just love the way that this is so powerful about how difficult it is to let go of a first love, or a true love, I guess. And, you know, I feel like even though McKenna left when, you know, her dad found out that they were together and was very worried and is like, hey, I'm gonna ruin him, and she's like, please don't ruin him. I will make sure he leaves if you find something for him to do. And that is really what pushes McKenna to be the man that he is today when he comes back. Like, he's very financially successful, but he's also very cold. Like, he's got this shell, this wall around him that he's not going to let anyone penetrate. But even, he thinks, Aline. But even though he's got that huge shell around them, when they meet for the first time in this, you know, after those years have passed, you can tell that he is going to put that shield up. He's going to try and make it so that she can't get in there to hurt him. Like, he wants to hurt her. He wants her to feel the pain that he has felt for all of these years. But at the same time, there are things about her that work into the cracks of the armor that he's built, and things that he feels for her that he doesn't want to, but that he does with just her. I think this book is such a good example of how powerful it is to have someone only have eyes for you, only have space in their heart for you. Like, the whole thing about you are the only person being seen, being that somebody's person. Like, this book captures that so beautifully. And I think that, you know, Aline, of course, is coming from this from a different perspective, because she's had a lot of years to sort of acknowledge that he's going to move on. He's going to move on without me, but I can't move forward without him. Like, she's basically convinced herself she's never going to love anyone ever again. Whereas he, I think, has cut himself off from the idea of love, but has also not cut himself off from women in general. So I'm loving it so much. My camera's about to die. I'll come back with an update, probably when I've finished this. Well, hello, my friends. So I literally just barely finished listening to the audiobook of Again the Magic, and it's definitely still a 5-star read. I was going to try and set you up right here, but that's not working. However, I will say, whoa. Where shall I be? Here? Oh my gosh, I'm so professional, huh? I'm just gonna put a picture up for it instead of holding it. I will say that I think that, you know, when I reread Wicked and the Wallflower, that was like, that book has always been so powerful for me, and I think that a lot of the things that I love about that book just really have hit me at different points in my life through the years as I've reread it. This is only the second time that I've read Again the Magic, and I still super, super loved it. Like, it is so deeply romantic, and I think she does such interesting character work here. Like, I really love the closing scene when, not the closing, but towards the end, there are a few scenes where Aline is on the verge of losing McKenna forever. You know, let me see if I can move this over here. Okay, this is where I'm going to be now. I'm so sorry. Scattered brain. So Aline is on the verge of losing McKenna forever because he has learned, you know, Olivia, Aline's sister, spoke to McKenna and said, hey, also spoilers for major plots, so if you haven't read this book and you don't, maybe not major plots, but I am going to be talking about some specific scenes, so if you don't want to hear that, then skip ahead. But, you know, there was the scene when Olivia tells McKenna that, hey, I really need to apologize. It actually is my fault that our dad found out about you two. And then she proceeds to tell him what Aline did. And that's the real turning point when McKenna starts to allow himself to believe that she loved him all along. And then what turns out to be this, like, big, huge heartbreak that has caused him so much inner turmoil and anger even, and, you know, despair, is all of a sudden now turned into something that could be really beautiful because she wasn't rejecting him. You know, she wasn't thinking that he wasn't good enough for her. She was, in fact, trying to save him. And I love seeing that. And I also feel like, you know, I think because so many of the themes that are in this book are so reliant on the social structure at the time, where obviously, like, if you're a historical romance reader, you know that. But I've been trying to look at, because this is a book for my Fabled Book Club, which is kind of like, the reason I started that was to try and lure new readers into reading historical romance. And I feel like for people who are well-versed in historical romance, you get the subtleties of how impossible it was for her and him to be together in the beginning, and how the threat of her dad and the threat of him ruining McKenna was very real, you know? Because I feel like if you're not familiar with that, maybe it would be easy to argue, well, why did she have to do that anyway? Why didn't she just follow her heart or go with McKenna or whatever? And I think it's very clear that that was an impossibility for her. So I think that, you know, all these years, McKenna, I think, has secretly hoped. I feel like there's always been a part of him that he didn't want to believe. And I don't think he fully believed that she actually was rejecting him. And I sort of feel like that's one of the reasons why he came back. It wasn't just for revenge. He didn't just want revenge on her. I think he wanted answers about why that happened. Because, you know, he's had all this time to look back on those memories when they were young. You know, she was like 19, and I'm sure there's questions about, was it real? Did we really feel like that? And that's one thing that kind of I find adults tend to do with young love in real life a lot, is like they kind of try to act like it's not real or trivialize it, when I think those first love experiences are so powerful and lasting and real. And I think this book is just a beautiful tribute to that. So watching McKenna, even though on the surface it appeared like he was giving up on her, you know, the whole reason he comes back, it's almost like he is in pursuit of her. He is trying to have her, win her. I think that there's a part of him that felt very out of control when he was rejected and she said, you know, I don't want you anymore. I never loved you. I think that really stripped away any aspect of control. So when he comes back and he gets her, he claims her, he has that internal thought imagining her pregnant with his baby, and how, you know, she would always be his now because they would have that connection. It's just like so primal and just very, I kind of really adore it. So I can see how some people would have a problem with McKenna, because he is very alpha, you know. he's very alpha. He wants to be in control. He wants to sort of, not necessarily because he wants control of Aline, but because he wants to keep her love and to keep her in his life. I think that's how he's like exercising his control. But the final scene, the very final scene, is always the one that just moves me to tears. When you see McKenna and Aline finally get to be together, and with no secrets, with the truth finally revealed, so that they can actually know that this love was real, that we do love each other. It was circumstances, it was other people that was kind of trying to pull us apart. I love that so much, and it brings me to tears, the way he is so gentle with her, and the way he just sort of like worships her. And, you know, the conversation that she had with Marcus before, when she's talking about her scarring and, you know, the tragedy that happened to her, and how she's so affected by how that makes her look, or how she feels like that makes her look. And it was such an interesting look at beauty and how that affects people, because here we have Marcus, who fully admits, you know, he's not exactly the most handsome guy, and he's had to live his life knowing that, and sort of like make other things stand out. Whereas, but also, like, he doesn't need to be beautiful. His future success isn't determined on how beautiful that he is, whereas Aline's really is, you know? Not entirely, but to a large degree. And so to have something that she feels so self-conscious of that takes her beauty away, she feels very helpless and very, like, scared to let other people in, even her beloved McKenna. So I loved it. I think it's truly a beautiful, epic love story. I think that, you know, like I was saying earlier, I still very much love this, but this didn't quite move up to a 6-star read for me. It's going to stay a 5-star, which is still a 5-star read, you know, but the 6 stars I think are reserved for the ones that really sort of get in my brain and my heart. And this one absolutely did. But I wish, for the first time, I mean, this is only the second time I've read it, for the first time, I kind of agree with the criticism that I don't really feel like I needed Olivia's subplot in here. I wish that the epilogue was McKenna and Aline only, and not Olivia, even though it was a letter that they were reading. So, I still loved it. It's still a fabulous read. Lisa Kleypas is a freaking queen. She's such a gifted storyteller. The way the story just flows from beginning to end, and how things are revealed, but never too much at once. Just how she kind of keeps you hanging, but she keeps you hanging with hope, because you know, like, the tension is increasing. There's sparks of love here. They're showing tiny little flashes of love. It's just a freaking masterpiece. I adored it, and I had a great time reading this. So I'm very, very happy about that. Now, I have a couple of options for what to read next. I'm not sure what. I'm going to try a couple out. I may go historical, I may go fantasy romance, because I'm kind of in the mood for fantasy romance, but there are some historicals that I have audiobooks of on Libby that I think I could also read and include in here. So I'm going to try a couple chapters and see which one intrigues me the most, and then I'll be back when I have more to say.
Staring out the window on a cloudy morning, trying to lick her wounds while the tea is warming. Sometimes it's like a bird that's never shipped out. Sometimes you go around on a never-ending rail. This week has been a mess, but I'm gonna tell you, we're a bit at work, gonna make it brand new. We're gonna plot a way for a comeback. We all need some time, and I promise you that. Promise you that. I promise you that.
Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. It is now Friday, and this is going to be the final clip in this vlog. So let's talk about the books, shall we? Okay, so I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to pick up. Like, I had a couple of books to choose from. I mean, I've got a lot of new historical releases that I'm, like, interested in that I may choose at some point. I'm trying to decide where to put you. Okay, we'll do that. That I want to read and try. Alexandra Vashti? I don't know how to say her last name. I know she has a historical coming out that I have an audio arc for. The new Liz Tom 40 book is out, and I really like her contemporary romances, so I could have gone with that. I did even think about doing just another older historically, you know, like an Eloise James or something like that. But my Libby hold for this book that I've been wanting to get to for a while, Lord of the Fading Lands, was due. It's like due in 2 days. So when I chose to go with this one, that was the determining factor, because I was like, I really want to give this one a shot and see if I like it, because it's a library audio hold, and I'm pretty picky about spending money on audiobooks if I don't think I'm gonna like it. So this is the original cover of Lord of the Fading Lands by C.L. Wilson. I have read C.L. Wilson before. I read The Winter King by her, and I actually quite liked that one. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a fun fantasy romance. I've heard good things about this book, this series. It's an older one. I didn't look up when it was published because, okay, so this was published in 2007, so it's not too old, but that is sort of around like the beginning of the paranormal romance boom. I feel like it was kind of starting, even though this is definitely fantasy romance. It has fae, it has Terrans, which are like humans who can transform into big cats with wings, which is pretty cool, honestly. It does have like a fated mate type of bond and things like that. Kazi is crying. I just put him up so he wouldn't be loud, and now he's crying, so excuse me. Probably cry again. He is my anxious lover boy, and he hates it when I am separated from him. So this is a book that's been published for a while, right? This is the Avon release, the mass market, this very interesting cover art. Let's see. Right? Very interesting. It was recently republished by Avon with this cover, which I think is a million times better. I really, really love this cover. I saw it at the bookstore. I had heard good things about this book, so I picked it up because I just really wanted to love it, you know? So I started reading it, and I have gotten this far. I've gotten 33% in when I decided to DNF. So I got this far in, and I decided to DNF it because I feel like I don't like the audiobook. That's the main reason why I'm DNFing it, because there are parts of the story that I really do like, but I can't handle the audiobook, and it's Friday night. I kind of don't want to feel, you know, I don't think I can finish this physically over the weekend. It's just my weekends are busy with house stuff and work stuff and family stuff, you know. So I just decided to DNF it, and I am going to continue reading it physically at some point, but I am going to take a little bit of a break from it. The narrator in this, the audio production is not great. There are mouth noises. It sounds like there's a little bit of static in the background. I don't know if it's just the copy that I got. I don't know if it is re-released in auto, but the audio that I got from my library is not good at all. I absolutely can't stand mouth noises in my audiobooks. Like, it is such a huge pet peeve of mine, and it inevitably influences how I feel about the story, you know? This is a case where I feel like this narrator is not doing the story justice at all, because she also makes the heroine sound like a child, like a young child. I'll have to update you in a bit. That's my husband calling. Hello, friends. Okay, so we were talking about the book that I decided to DNF. So, Lord of the Fading Lands. Hi, baby. Oh, he's got ear infections again. It's stressing me out. I don't know why he continuously gets ear infections. So, I did decide to DNF this, both covers. I think they're interesting covers, but so I was talking earlier about, I don't think the narrator did this book any favors. I feel like it feels like a very young reading book, and that's not bad, but it feels a little weird to me here because the hero is this centuries-old fae king who has already been married and had what he thought was a soulmate before, and then he realizes that our young heroine, who I'm not even sure how old she is, but she feels very young, like she feels like she's 16 to me, you know, he continuously feels called to her, that she is his mate, so fated mates are a big theme of this one. And, like, that's fun, honestly, like, that part was fun, except for that she just feels so young, and I think it's the way that the narrator, at least because I haven't read it physically, I feel like it's the way the narrator is voicing her. She just feels so young, and he feels so ancient, and typically that's something that works for me. Like, an immortal being, a centuries-old vampire or whatever, and, you know, a 19, 20-year-old heroine, like, I find that fun, okay? Like, I really do. I love Twilight, and I feel like I always will, but I think it can be done in a way that is fun, and I don't think it's always necessarily, like, icky. But it does feel, to me, it feels a little weird in here, and again, I feel like that's 100% because the heroine, or no, the narrator is voicing the heroine, and makes her sound not just young, but childish, too. Like, some of the things she says, some of the things that some of her mannerisms, but also it's a level of her knowledge of the world is very, like, she's very, very sheltered. You know, typically you find that in historical romances, but that also works there, I think, because a lot of times there is a little bit more better character development. So I just couldn't hang with the audio narrator. I truly couldn't. I would love to come back and revisit this and read it physically, because, like, I have both of these, and I want to come back and read it physically, but I'm going to take a break for now, so we're going to take Miss Elizabeth Bennet bookmark out. Look how cute. You can see if it's not too bright. I think she's so cute. We're going to take her out and put her in another book, but the other thing that I wanted to talk about is, so this was the original cover, published in like 2004, 2007, I said it earlier, I think it was 2007, yeah, and fantasy romance wasn't really hyped up back then. Paranormal romance, I feel like I could have the dates wrong, I feel like it was just kind of starting to trend and get popular. So now we're currently in this romantasy boom, or coming up on I think we may be coming up on it kind of going downhill. That's how I feel. Maybe, I think I've heard a few people say it looks like it already is, which I think is interesting, and I don't know if that's true or not, but I think we could be, because it's been raining hot for a while, you know. Anyway, publishing did what it does with this, is they go back and see if there are any fantasy romance titles in there that they've published that they can repackage to appeal to newer readers, which is how we got this, right? I feel like, I don't work in publishing, I don't know, but I mean, you know, I'm an intelligent woman, and I feel like I put 2 and 2 together, and that's what I think is happening here. So that's interesting, because the last time I remember this happening was with this book right here, The Vampire Diaries. So this was the republished edition that came out around the time that Twilight was really happy. So I want to say like 2010. Okay, first Harper Teen paperback, 2007. So yeah, that's so interesting to me. So this is around the time when paranormal romance was having a big boom, because of Twilight essentially launched it. And then you had adult paranormal romance and YA paranormal romance, and it was a great time to be alive, right? There are some wonderful books that have been published in that time. So interestingly, this was republished in 2007 when it had originally been published in 1991. So publishing did the exact same thing. I find that so fascinating. This published 2007, originally published in 2007. This was a backlist title that they had pulled up and rebranded, remarketed for a new generation, and sold it, and probably sold like hotcakes until people read it and were like, what in the world kind of fever dream is this, right? I have kept this for nostalgia reasons, because like this is one of the first, so there are like series of books, right? This one has 2 in it. And I read this before Vampire Diaries, which I absolutely love Vampire Diaries. The show is better than the books, 100%. The show is fantastic. But I did like the first book in here. It was fun at the time. I read this in 2007 when it came out, but very, very interesting to me that publishing it essentially did the same thing, you know? So I think that is pretty freaking fun. And yeah. I don't know. I just had to pull that up, because the main reason I mentioned that is because this feels dated. It does. Not because of the references, and that's not a bad thing at all, because there are a lot of really wonderful books that are older, that are, you know, published around this time and earlier, that are just fabulous. But it does feel, the writing style feels a little bit like I could easily pinpoint, okay, this feels like it's probably an early 2000s book, you know? Similarly to how when I read this in 2007, this didn't feel at all like what was being published at the time, you know? Like, this felt like a 1991 book. So, not that I was too young to be reading YA in 1991, but it's so interesting to me. Publishing is fascinating. The book community, the book world is just fascinating. So anyway, interesting little connection that I made. So yeah, kind of a disappointing end to this reading vlog because and I want to be clear, like, I didn't hate this book. I think really, again, I've said it over and over, it was the narrator that kind of ruined this for me, so I do want to come back and revisit it, but not for a while. I need a little break from that, so yeah. Fabulous reread of this. Absolutely loved it. If you want to join our Fable Book Club, the link is down below. If you want to read this, or even if you have read it and you want to come talk about it, you can do that. That would be super fun. Come join us over there. Yeah, and then this week I have also been working on book 2 in the Stormlight Archive. I read The Way of Kings several weeks ago, so I am currently, let's see, I'm like 15% into this on Kindle, which is 240 pages. This is a big one. This is a big one. Yeah, I think this one is, it's 1,300 pages, whereas The Way of Kings was 1,200 and something, so I'm excited about this. I don't think I will be vlogging this at all unless I do like I did before, where it's like right at the end when I have a bunch of feelings and I want to talk about it as a whole, but I could not vlog this. This would not, no. I just couldn't do it. It's just, it would be like a month-long vlog, you know? So anyway, all right, there you have it. A week of reading, and I did pick up some books on my Kindle. That I just kind of was trying a chapter of that I want to see if I'm going to focus on, and now that I'm this far into it, I can do the audiobook of Words of Radiance. But I don't like to start this book on audio because I like to kind of get myself immersed in the physical book first and make sure I know all the characters and the plot threads and the different points of view, you know? So I feel like I can read this on audio now. But I want to pick up the new Liz Tom 40 for sure. I have some historicals that I want to pick up. The Harper St. George, Scarlett Peckham had a new book that I want to pick up. And Alexandra Vashti? I don't know how to say it. So yeah, that is potential books that may be next week, so we shall see. I hope y'all had a good reading week. Thank you so much for joining me on this video, and if you have made it this far and you would like to let me know that you were here, please leave me a ocean wave or a water type of emoji, drops, ocean, whatever, and I'll see y'all in my next video.